Hello friends, welcome. As part of this particular video, I will be talking about the data sources in modern data engineering pipelines. The important aspect you need to understand is in any typical data pipelines, we will have three entities. One is the source, the other one is the destination, and we have the transmission challenges, right? So, how the data is transmitted from source to destination. These are the three aspects that we have to remember. Now, in this video, I'll be talking about data sources. Like you can see, there are different types of data, and each of this data that we are generating is coming from different source. So first we have to understand the different types of data, which can be categorized into structured, semi-structured, unstructured, and for real-time data, we basically call it as streaming data. Right? So these are broad categorization of the data that we basically be working with. Now, depending on this property of the data that we are actually handling, there are different type of tools that we will have to use. So if you look at the landscape of different softwares, they can be categorized into relational databases, which are the legacy systems, the standard RDBMS databases. We have flat files, which are like CSV, JSON, etc., and data lakes. Data lakes typically is a storage location where all the data is dumped in the centralized locations, and typically these are cloud platforms. Then we have APIs and web services, and this is where our data is basically communicated from one application to another application. We have messaging queues or event streams. These are typically for real-time data that we handle. The tools like Apache Kafka, which is an open source, is very popular in this area. And the data can also be moved from one system to another system using secured protocols, like file transfer systems are there. So there are so many diversified data sources that you can see. Now, in all of these, we need to remember that there are certain challenges that we have to consider while developing any pipeline. So let's see those challenges. When we talk about integrating these data sources into the data pipelines, then the first one, of course, we'll have to look at is the time synchronization, because different sources have different time formats and different time zones, etc. Along with that, we also have schema problems. Different sources may store different fields, and each of that can have slightly different schema variations. And also, these schemas evolve over a period of time, even without noticing, right, or notifying the users. Then we have data governance challenges. We have to keep tracking the lineage. Then we have scalability challenges. As the data, as the business evolves, the data also might grow in volume and velocity. And another very important aspect is the security and compliances. We need to ensure that the data leaks does not happen, and unauthorized access to the any of the data is restricted very strictly. For that, we need to manage the credentials and, of course, the role-based access controls as well. So overall, if you look at the data sources in the typical data pipelines, we need to understand that it has a very diversified landscape of various data sources, which include traditional as well as the newer, latest of the technologies. In the pipeline architectures also, we have to understand that we will have batch as well as streaming patterns coexisting in the same architecture, like Lambda architecture that we have seen in the last video, which contains both speed layer as well as the batch layer. And that's where the actual value of the data can be extracted. Then coming to the tools and technologies, I would rather say, that we actually have to use to communicate or to work with these different data sources that we are talking about. And last point, the landscape is definitely going to grow because of the advantage of the latest of the technologies that are getting researched and invented. So the complexity is always growing. So we have to be accommodative of these growing complexities as well. In the next video, we will talk about data destinations in a typical pipeline. See you around.